I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land, who are the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I would like to extend that acknowledgement to their elders past, present and emerging, and to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islanders who may be watching, either today or later on. Sovereignty was never ceded. It always was and always will be Aboriginal land. My name is Miss Cairo, and welcome to the third edition of Conversations with Miss Cairo. I am a light brown skinned woman and I have a medium brown afro, which is a little bit wet today. I'm wearing a striped spaghetti top with orange and white and black stripes on it. I'm sitting on a beige couch. There is some rubbish to the left of me, and I'm in front of a white wall. So, normally before we begin, I want to do a breathing exercise, but if I'm being very honest today, I am not feeling I can breathe. So I've had a little cry before I've come on, if I'm going to be real and being honest about it. I'm exhausted. I really am. It's been a really difficult week in terms of social activism and advocacy, and a lot of pressure and responsibility have rested on my shoulders and other of my community shoulders in the industry. I've had about 45 minutes sleep today because I've been dealing with the fallout of a lot of problematic stuff, and yeah. You know, I'm a massive believer of self-care and self-love, and I have been amping that up and been doing what I can. But it's hard. It's really hard to be doing self-care in a world that it doesn't support that, in a world that doesn't acknowledge that. I'm also probably not going to make sense today. I haven't had time to think through and think about how I'm feeling, because I'm feeling everything in this moment. You know, I'm really grateful for this platform to be able to, you know, bring other people on, talk about things that are going on, talk about mental health, have a space for me to talk about things. You know, I think one of the other things I've been thinking about a lot is, you know, being perfect or being perceived as perfect. You know, I've never really liked being on video because I felt ugly. I didn't feel like I had a strong voice. I was so scared about things being taken out of context. And because of the self-care work that I have done, I've, you know, fallen in love with myself and fallen in love with my voice and my hair and my skin, and understood that I, you know, do have a place in this world to do good and to speak my mind. But, you know, when you are doing, you know, social injustice advocacy, you are under scrutiny constantly, and you have to be careful what you put out there. And it's a horrible space to be in, because it means that you have to minimize part of yourselves and hide parts of yourself to assimilate and to navigate systems which aren't built for you. You know, I've been trying to be all like love and peace and self-care and and I'm trying my hardest to be in that space and in that role, and in the role of being a light worker, which I know that I am. But it's hard. It's really hard. Yeah, I'm not going to go too far into things because I'll probably cry. And I don't want to, because I have spilled too many tears already. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm a bit disjointed today, but c'est la vie. I'm being real, you know what I mean? I was lucky enough. I'm going to read what I wrote earlier. I've probably covered some of it anyway, but I was lucky enough to find my light again this year and to work out ways to keep it burning brighter for longer. I've stepped back of social media when I felt my light diminish, and I've been using my voice in kindness. However, I'm afraid this beacon of light has become a mere flicker. Without giving the negative energy any more space than it deserves, there has been a lot of social injustices I've been privy to as a trans woman of colour, and it has exhausted me and my emotional resources. I find my advocacy intertwines with my career, my relationship, and my art. And in the words of my dear friend Vijay McCann, I want to be an artist. When can I be an artist and not an activist? The responsibility has relied heavily on the backs of Black and Indigenous people and people of colour, and we want space to thrive. We want our platforms to celebrate our glorious journeys and not to constantly have to fight for equal rights. We are glorious. We are talented. We are powerful, and we are beautiful. We are doing incredible things, and I have been exceptionally we are doing incredible things and have been exceptionally resourceful with healing our communities. I'm honoured to share this platform with today's guest, as they have created an initiative which is going to change the landscape of our industry and provide the next generation with the opportunity to shape the industry for the betterment of us all. This is someone who has been working tirelessly to create such beauty in this world and still maintains integrity, passion, and love, and is so inspiring. I'm so honoured to have Tarik join me today. So I'll just explain who Tarik is. So Tarik Frimpong is an Australian actor, singer, and dancer, and currently based in Melbourne, or should we say currently locked down in Melbourne, as we all are. He made his feature film debut as Angus in Disney's Mary Poppins Return. He is a multifaceted artist, and Tarik has worked in film, television, theatre, and fashion. And he is the founder of the Artist of Colour Initiative, or the AOC, which is a scholarship competition designed to provide financial assistance and industry support to 6 exceptionally talented theatre performers based in Australia that identify as Black, Indigenous, or people of colour. So normally when I'm on the stage, I get people to whoop, holler, and cheer, but we are still locked down and not allowed on stages yet. So feel free with your brunch to whoop, holler, and cheer in your kitchens, living rooms, balconies, or wherever the hell you are, as we introduce our my guest this week, Tarik Frimpong. Hello. Oh my God, I can't hear you.
There we go. I've unmuted. I'm here. Wonderful.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for sharing those beautiful words. They definitely, made me feel emotional, and then all the really kind things that you said about me made me feel really grateful and really thankful to have met you very recently, and not met you in person, but met you and virtually have met you. Because I think you're incredible. I think you're powerful. I think you're beautiful, and I think you're just so giving. Behind the scenes, you've been reaching out to me consistently and checking in on me, and I appreciate that so much. So I just want to say thank you and acknowledge you for that publicly as well as privately.
Oh my God, I've already cried once. Don't make me cry. Oh, thank you so much. It's bloody lovely to hear. How are you feeling? Like,
I'm okay.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. All right. I'm good. It's, what time is it? It's 11 o'clock on a Sunday. Is that the day? The days tend to all blur into one, but yeah, it's a Sunday. It's coming to the end of the week. I guess at the end of the week, I tend to look back and be like, okay, well, have I got the work done that ideally I wanted to get done, but at this point in time? And I feel okay about the work that I've got done so far this week. So I'm not overly stressed. And I know I still have this final day to really smash out some more work and hopefully get get ahead for the next week, because coming into the next week, as of Monday, it's the final week of submissions for the first round for the AOC. So I think the next 12 days is go time, as I like to say. It's integral that I'm locked in, that I'm focused, that I remain strong and keep striving forward in the direction I want to go and the direction I want AOC to move in.
Oh my God, I love it. What things have you been kind of implementing to kind of keep yourself grounded in churning this out?
Absolutely, yeah. I think, as you were saying, self-care and mental health are integral because there is so much going on and so much floating around. It's wild. You have to be really careful. You have to treat yourself like a fine piece of, I don't know, something that's really important and something that you just need to protect at all costs. And that's kind of what I'm doing with myself at the moment. One, just for my own well-being too, but I also understand that, and I guess this could be seen as putting pressure on myself in a way, but I don't want to falter and I don't want to crack because I don't want to let all the people down that I am supporting through AOC. And I totally understand that they would not feel that way, but that's just how I view myself and my work and the importance there. So things I'm doing now, things that I'm not doing, but as I already touched on, when people like you reach out to me, that is on another level. You know what I mean? That is something that inspires me, further fuels me, centers me, calms me, to be able to have private conversations with you and discuss how I'm not alone in the work I'm doing in founding an initiative such as AOC. You're doing, you know what I mean, so much work and similar things over at People of Cabaret, the People of Cabaret. So that's something that's great and that really helps me. On top of that, something that I've kind of started doing recently is not getting sucked into reading too many Instagram comments on posts outside of the AOC page. Obviously, there's a lot of discussion, a lot of things going on, and some really important discussion happening in the comments. And there's also a lot of really racist remarks coming through in comments, and they strangely affect me. Not strangely, they just affect me in a way that can disrupt my thought process.
There's nothing strange about being affected by racism, my love.
No, yeah, exactly. That's why I just double checked myself there. But you know what I mean? You can suddenly I can get caught reading if there's an article on by the age or something. Especially, I think if I step outside of my own echo chamber and there's for example, there was an article by the age, and there were a lot of comments by people who are not in the arts. So people who are not sure of not sure of everything that's going on. They're not sure of the climate here and the conversation that's been happening for a considerable amount of time. They're only realistically aware of the information that was put forward and the way in which it was put forward in that one article. Mm-hmm. So I was scrolling through the comments, and very quickly it just put me into a not a healthy headspace. One, that wasn't good for me because of how it made me feel. Two, it wasn't good for me because it almost did the opposite for inspire me. It almost took my mind away from where I need my focus and mind to be. So that's something I put in place. I'm just like, I don't need to read these comments. This is not for me. Thank you so much. I'll skip on that. And I also, being in Melbourne right now, try and make use most days of my 1 to 2 hour physical exercise. And I make sure that I get outside, I get some fresh air. Yesterday was a beautiful day. There's a basketball court right near my house. So I take my basketball and I go and shoot some hoops. I put my phone on mute for that time. I have some music playing in the background, and I just, do some exercise and take my mind away from everything else going on for just a moment.
Oh my God, I've learned some things off you already. It's hilarious that every week I'm like, make sure you take your hour exercise. And I'm like, I haven't bloody done it all week, I think.
Oh, you need to. It does wonders. It really does wonders.
Yeah. Well, it's like when you're talking about the comments as well, like, it's a really difficult space to be in because like I'm obviously dealing with transphobia with a lot of these things that are happening. It's a nice double whammy. And it's really difficult being in lockdown when it feels like social media is the only outlet we have to connect with other people.
Yeah.
And like, I completely agree with the whole echo chamber thing. But I mean, for me, the the thing that was kind of really pulling me and upsetting me this morning, is the fact that, so I'm running the People of Cabaret, and I'm doing a lot of the social media, like a few other people are as well, but kind of are generally in control of it, and constantly being tagged and having to check these tags just to know what's going on is bloody exhausting. There are some really great comments, but I mean, for me especially, I mean, we're not going to give any attention and light to the incident because we've already done enough of that. But like, I've kind of been brought in to, and you have as well, like been brought in to be at the helm of this experience and this incident when we have nothing to do with it. Like, I'm also not in musical theatre, or I wasn't. I'm moving into it, but I've systemically been kind of segregated from that industry. Yeah, I'm kind of now becoming at the helm or being part of this movement, and being tagged in all of these things, and it's exhausting.
Yeah,
I don't know where it's going with that.
No, absolutely. You went exactly where you needed to go. It is exhausting. You and I know from our conversation at all hours of the night. Hey, haven't you been to bed yet? No. Haven't you been to bed yet? No. What are you doing? Working, dismantling transphobia and racism, you know what I mean? And all these things and all these constructs. So it's incredibly accurate what you just said. It is exhausting. Yeah, and I guess touching on what you said too, we have been thrust into these positions of leadership and things like that, and they're important spaces to be in, and you know what I mean? People need to step into these spaces and continue to do the work, and there's so many people who are doing the work, which is really exciting. And I'm grateful to be in this position. I understand the responsibility that's been placed on me and that I've chosen to place on myself by founding this initiative. And I don't take it lightly, and I will work tirelessly, and I will fight fiercely, and I will reflect, and I will make sure that I am checking in on my own behavior and doing better myself personally. I will do what needs to be done.
I think the worst thing sometimes as well is just feeling like you're not doing enough, and then having to check in with yourself and be like, you're leading an organization, you're leading an initiative, you're like spending all these hours like dismantling racism and transphobia and this and that. Like, what more do we have to do?
Absolutely. No, yeah, that's a funny thing that you've touched on, because obviously for a lot of my life there's always these moments, because you know what I mean, racism has been something that I've experienced firsthand my entire life, something that when I see it affect the people around me, my family, my friends, people that I don't know, when I see it online, it affects me in a particular way, you know what I mean? And for a lot of my life, I definitely experienced that in, I'm not doing enough. What can I do? How can I be more a part of this? I've posted online on social media. I've donated to these causes. And this is all prior to recent events in regards to the musical theatre industry. I'm talking at large. You know what I mean? I've done all those things, but at those times, I never felt like I was doing enough. I understood that me, you know what I mean? Pursuing my career, full steam ahead, not taking no for an answer, refusing to give up. In my mind, I knew that I was always doing that to show to other young performers of color and artists of color that are up and coming that, hey, look at this guy. He's doing these things and he's going for it, and he's capable and he's talented and he's proud and he's outspoken and all those things, and to be hopefully inspiration for them. If, like I've talked about before, the cycles of, if you can see yourself in a space, there is the greater likelihood that you will believe that you are capable of thriving in that space, and therefore you will pursue a career or whatever it means to be in that space. If you don't see yourself, then you're most likely going to be like, well, what's the point? There's no point. I'm not welcome there. So that's something I was doing prior to all this. But even in saying all that, I never felt like I was doing enough. I was like, how can I really be a part of the bigger conversation? I'm proud to say right now that I'm doing enough.
I mean, like, when I'm sitting next to you, I'm like, oh God, I'm really not doing enough.
No, and you're exactly the same. Do not question yourself ever. You have absolutely no reason to question yourself. I have no reason to question myself, and that's why I don't. Because one, I know the hours and the time I'm putting in, but I also know how these hours are effective hours. These aren't hours of, you know what I mean, scrolling on Instagram and wasting time. These are hours of getting work done that is creating change. I'm watching it happen in front of my eyes. So I definitely don't feel that way anymore. I guess, yeah, this is definitely talking myself up, but it's also talking you up and everybody that's you know what I mean, involved in these organizations. But I understand right now I understand the importance and the power of AOC, and that right now, for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm doing enough. I was like, doesn't mean I'm not going to do more. Do not get me wrong. Does not mean that you haven't seen anything yet when it comes to AOC and my life afterwards and after AOC. Like, I will not stop. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah. I saw Vidya's comment too about, you know what I mean, not wanting to be, well, not wanting to be, but it's like, when can I be an artist and no longer an activist? And I totally relate to that. When I saw that, I was like, that is so poignant. And I hope she writes a beautiful song about that, because I will be streaming that to the end of time. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, I chose to step into this space. I know that's not the same for everyone. I made an active, conscious decision to step into this space because I want to. I understand that, and it is hard, and I cry, and I feel down, and I experience all these things. But I know, and I'm proud to say that I am both an activist and an artist, and that will be what I do for the rest of my life. My activism will permeate all my art in future, and my art will permeate my activism. And for me, it's one and the same. I will entertain and educate through my activism and through my art. And I'm proud of that. And yeah, that's how I feel about it. And let's go. Somebody try and stop me. I dare you.
I think there's also something in that as well. Like, I've always maintained, you know, art is activism, full stop. Like, it's radical self-love, it's radical self-connection, self-care, and radical connection. But there's also something in that that's like, you know, I was saying, you know, probably about 3 months, I was having some realizations about my activism and about my art, and I was like, I have realized that for so long I've been introducing myself as, hi, I'm Miss Cairo, I'm a trans woman of color. It's been like, hi, I'm Miss Cairo, I'm an artist. Like, the world has put us in a position where we have to use our identities as an explanation of who we are and what we do. And it's so draining. It is so it's so unfair that we have to do it. Like, I mean, I think this is something I want to touch on, like, in our private conversation after this, which people will be able to access later on if they donate more. But like, being mixed race and being in this role is, you know, can be quite difficult at times. And we, you know, I really want to save this one for later if you're up for it.
Okay.
Like, oh God.
No, I'm down. I'm like, we can go now, we can go later.
All right,
I'm good.
well, let's go now. Like, you know, I'm a light brown person of color, you know, very, you know, white passing to a degree, who's had to kind of understand what their race is. Like, I'm Arab, African, English, but one of those mixes where kind of I don't know anyone else, even my own half siblings aren't the same identity as me. And, you know, doing a lot of this activism has been eye-opening, but it's been difficult when there's the intersection of being trans and being of color, because obviously, like, I want to give space to people, you know, to Black and Indigenous people, like, that's no question at all. But then there's other people of color who kind of pull me in about that, and it's like, but I'm also trans as well, so I also have this other layer. But I also don't want my transness to be a reason why I have to speak. Like, I feel sometimes I'm put at the helm of things because I'm a double whammy of these quotas, and it's sometimes like, but there's people here who actually can speak on this issue. Like, why am I being asked? Like I also want to say as well, like, I was going to write about this and I just haven't felt comfortable in the space to, but I'm going to talk about it here. I'm obviously on the panel for the AOC. I am the lightest person on a panel. That has never in my life happened to me. And it is the most confronting thing, because I'm like, oh my God, am I really a person of color? But to be placed amongst other people of color, mixed race people, Black, Indigenous people, it's made me really see my color, because I've never had the opportunity to do that. because my color has always been in relation to other things. Like, it's a complete different ball game in the UK. Yeah, so I lost steam there, but anything you want to touch on there?
No, I totally get what you say. Obviously, yeah, I've had a lot of interesting conversations throughout my life as somebody who's mixed race. My dad's from Ghana in West Africa. My mum's Australian. My dad is black and my mum is white. And the experience of a mixed race person is something that is entirely unique and complex and nuanced in itself. It's always been interesting for me. I never used the term mixed race until I moved to London in 2016, I believe it was. Prior to that, I don't believe the term was used that much in Australia as someone who is mixed race, and I had not really heard of the word used to identify myself or with other people.
I used to call myself half caste.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how problematic that was, and I think it was about 2016 when I think my white partner pointed it out. It's like, oh fuck, shouldn't be swearing at this early in the morning.
No, yeah. So what was I saying? Yeah, went to London, heard that, and yeah, there's like I said, being mixed race is such a complex and nuanced situation. I think it's interesting because for me, mixed race, I feel like mixed race with what races is kind of where it then leads me to. I'm like, mixed race, it's just like this generic thing that, yeah, you're a mixture, but a mixture of what? Who am I still? So I guess my entire life, even before I was able to identify, before I was able to say, this is what I identify as, or this is who I am. Before I even knew that, I identified as black. And people always ask me, a lot of people ask me out of curiosity or things like that. Okay. Sometimes people want to debate for the sake of the debate, that they actually have no horses in the race, but they still want to debate. And sometimes I step into those spaces, which can be dangerous. But they'll talk about, how come you identify as black, as a mixed race black person, as opposed to something else? And I talk about how, because that's what I've known my entire life. That's what has felt right. And before I even had the words to express that, that's how I felt and who I knew I was. On top of that, with that being the core, that being the primary reason, this is great because I've never been able to express this publicly, actually, and this is a lot to do with thoughts that I've had very recently, but that is at the core of it. It's at the core is who I am, how I felt from the day I was born. Secondly, on top of that, there's other factors in that. Growing up in school, in high school, I was one of the black kids. You know what I mean? How I was referred to, and I don't mean that this is not in a negative way at all.
Same.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Absolutely, in a really positive way. That's exactly how I was referred to. Nobody's ever said my white friend Tarik.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever referred to me in that way.
I mean, to be fair, my white family don't see me as mixed race, and that's really problematic for me. It's really difficult.
Yeah, that would be, and yeah, something that would be extremely difficult, I think. But yeah, as I was said, I've never been. Nobody's ever said my white friend Tarik. If I'm ticking boxes when I'm filling out forms and things like that, and it's white, black, or other, or sometimes before there was even an other, you know what I mean? If I was ticking the white box, I was probably not getting accepted or getting through the airport barriers or something like that. There would be some questioning going on. And yeah, it's just my experience. It extends to, I think, obviously these are not the primary reasons. These are just secondary lived experiences that further kind of consolidate the feeling that I already had prior to these lived experiences. But then even if we kind of link it back to theatre, I'm just, despite the fact that I will rock up to the audition and crash the audition, I'm never being cast in the white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed lead role. You know what I mean? I'm not being cast as that character. That's just not it. But when you need African man number 3 or a villager or a role that is, you know what I mean, is for a person of color, I will be in the room. I will be seen.
Every person of color that I've come across through like doing the directory, who does musical theatre and is of color, and like you look at their credentials, everyone has been in the same show, Lion King, what was it? Lion King, Aladdin, Miss Saigon, or The King and I. Like, it's just, oh, you're a generic person of color. In you go. Here's the show. Here's the one show for you.
100%. Side note, what's wild is, which I've touched on before, so I'm going to try and be quick. It's interesting to, even with like some of those shows, to look into like the writers and the teams behind those shows, and maybe I don't know all of them, but if you look into it, you'll realize the lack of diversity in regards to like racial diversity behind the scenes on that shows and in the initial and original creative and writing teams. And I think that says something, and that's a whole nother level, but something that I am on top of and try and bring into conversations when I can. And yeah, I kind of forgot what I was going to say next, but
well, I was trying to find, there's a hashtag going around. I think it's "Do You See It Now?" Maybe. Yeah. Which is about which funny enough. Sorry, I know we're meant to be ending soon, but like, it's fine. A couple of minutes isn't bad. Yesterday I was like, I'm just going to start posting like songs of me singing, because I'm not bad at singing, and there's so many musical theatre roles that I'd love to do. And I was like, I'm gonna, do all the songs that I'd never be cast for. And I'm gonna find it, because I actually want to give space to that person.
I've seen it online too, and I think it's amazing, and I think it's so great. As I've touched on in another interview, that in regards to the Australian theatre industry, we're definitely considerably behind the US and the UK. That's not to say that there are not issues over there as well, but Australia is absolutely behind. Part of that is obviously due to most shows originating in the US or in the UK and then making their way here. So shows that are starting to champion racial diversity on the stages will come out in the States and premiere in the UK, and they won't make their way to Australia for a few years. So obviously there is that bit of lag time, you know what I mean? But then at the same time, there are shows and there are casting decisions that are being made in the States where they are finally having roles that have been historically played by white actors now being played by people of color, because they're amazing and they're the best person for the role and they're incredibly talented. But those same recastings are not happening in Australia, and I don't anticipate them happening anytime soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of these historical roles that have been historically played by white people.
But this is going to change. Like, I watched Michelle Rodriguez and another performer do Suddenly Seymour from The Little Shop of Horrors, and it brought a new layer on the thing, because she's a trans woman of color, and it brought a whole new meaning to kind of the domestic violence in The Little Shop of Horrors. And I definitely feel like people are bored of Broadway and West End and what it's been producing, because it's the same old stuff. Like, we're in a new generation where people want to be seeing these things evolve. They want to be seeing like new stories being told. And it was so beautiful to watch a trans woman like own that role in a different way and bring something new to it. Just because I'm conscious of the time. So it's Akansha. I'm so sorry. I'm probably gonna get the name wrong because I haven't prepared this. But Akansha Hunganahali. She says, "Call me AK." She has created. It's the hashtag is hashtag Do You See It Yet? And it's for artists of color to post the songs of them singing the ones that they'll never be cast in, and I'm really excited to see kind of how that evolves as well. But I'm gonna bring us to a close now, and we'll continue this conversation privately.
I'm ready to go.
Is there anything that you want to? All right, we're obviously going to plug the AOC initiative because it's incredible. But is there anything that Tarik can plug? Like, I think it's important that we also give space to the work that we're doing personally as well. So is there anything that you want to get out there?
No, for me right now, my heart and my head and my soul and my body and my spirit and my dreams and my thoughts are in the AOC initiative. If you want to support me, if you want to support me, you will support the AOC initiative. If you want to support exactly what the AOC initiative, support the AOC initiative. It's easy as that. That is my my baby right now. That is my everything, and please give love to it. Please get involved in whatever capacity. If you are a up-and-coming performer of color and you haven't already applied, please get your submissions in. I want to hear from you. If you have any issues or worries, please get in contact with me personally. I will give you my phone number. I will get on the phone with you. I want to make this as accessible and as welcoming as possible. We will sort out any grievances or any issues and make sure this is, you know what I mean, the safest space for you to be involved in, and I currently think it is that. So yeah, and at the same time, if you want to get involved in any other way with, maybe if you're a singing teacher, if you run a dance school and you want to donate classes to include in prize packs to some of our winners or things like that, if you have other skills, please reach out. And if you're happy to offer them, I'd be willing to have a discussion and see if there's a way of getting you involved as well. So yeah, reach out and get involved in whatever capacity you wish to get involved. That's all I ask for the minute.
Oh my God, I love you so much. All right, I'm gonna say goodbye to you now, and I'll chat to you in a sec. But it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today, and I'm so grateful that I've been able to help share your mission.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Okay, I'll see you in a sec.
Yeah.
Bye. You know, Tarik and I are going to have a little conversation after, so don't be too jealous. But you can also donate to Antipodes Theatre, so we can kind of keep funding this and make magic. So we are running over today, but I think it's really important to give space and time and energy and love to these conversations. So I'm grateful for everyone who's stuck around. I'm going to announce our first ever winner for the hashtag IGiveMyself giveaway. So the premise of the hashtag IGiveMyself is for people to share images or videos, photos, or statuses on the things that they've done this week to promote their own self-care. So you could take a picture of a meal that you've made, or it could be, I don't know, I say this every time, the light cascading out of the window onto the wall, how beautiful that looks. Or it could be a bubble bath, or it could be whatever. And every week I'm going to give away it's not a prize. It's not a competition. It's not, the person who's been the best at self-care. But it's just going to be, someone who brought me joy this week. So the first ever recipient of the hashtag IGiveMyself is her Instagram handle is Ursula Searle. Sorry. But we will be in contact with you, and there will be a little present on the way in the post for you. So make sure that you for next week you use the hashtag IGiveMyself, and you share things that bring you joy. Like, give me something to have a look at that is joyful and lovely, because I'm very tired of reading all the bull crap out there. So yeah, make my week this week. Tell me how you're looking after yourselves, and you never know, I might even learn a few thing or two. Oh, right. Thank you so much for joining me today, and my guest Tarik. I'm really grateful for this space. I'm really grateful for people's support, dedication, love, commitment, all of that goodness. I would love to thank Melissa and Brandon from Antipodes Theatre Company for providing me with the opportunity for this space, and also dealing with my crying this morning and my thoughts and feelings, and being so open and beautiful about that. And to Chloe Towan for the poster design, and to Greg Dennis, my beautiful boyfriend, who took the incredible, glorious picture of me. And to Tarik Frimpong, my fabulous guest this week. And I also want to give thanks to myself, because I'm amazing. I am beautiful. I am talented. And say it with me as well. I am loved. I am beautiful. I am kind. I am amazing, because you are, And I am. Have a wonderful rest of your Sunday and do all the good things. Go for your hour-long or 2-hour-long walk or whatever it is now. And look after yourself. Take care. Bye.